Don't open this file. My name is Mandela, but that's not important. What's important is what I'm going to catalog. My story begins on the 16th of October. I was browsing the internet on my computer like normal people do, when suddenly my friend linked me to this website called DoNotOpenThis.com. Lately, he has been acting a bit weird lately, sending me increasingly worrying images taken from his phone camera, at least one of which involved blood. I shrugged this off as an itchy face and humored him enough to click the link, even though he told me to please not click on it, because it will kill me. I assumed this was reverse psychology, and he wanted me to check out the website. After clicking on the link, he sent me a 2-hour-long video that ended with him hanging himself. That's a bit odd, I thought, but I shrugged it off as a prank. The website downloaded a file called Don't Open This.exe. Immediately, which seemed like the main purpose of the website as it did nothing else, I decided to open it immediately out of folder. Immediately, it asked for admin access, but something was wrong. The window which it used to ask for admin access was photo negative, like something inverted its colors. I shrugged this off as a glitch and gave this random exe file from the internet full access to my computer like you're supposed to. That's when it all started. My PC opened an empty command window, and then immediately closed itself. It also let out a tremendous, inhuman scream, which I assumed at the time was just the fan or something. I went to sleep, but had to mute my phone as my friend kept sending me messages. I woke up the next day after, and it was like, oh boy, time to use my computer to look at images of horses from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. like I always do. I opened it, and then my computer made that screen noise before booting up. The screen went into TV static for 1 second, then black for 2 seconds, then TV static with 50% red tint for 1.5 seconds, then black for 1 second, and 15.4 of a second, then red TV static for 1.666 of a second, then red TV static with a 666% tint for 666 of a second, then black for roughly 3.5 seconds. I didn't see it well, but I could have sworn an image of a dead horse flashed on the screen for roughly 1483 picoseconds and 2 blank minutes. This was a bit concerning, but my computer is pretty old, so whatever. I open up my album of images of horses that I have on my computer, 28.3 gigabytes, 1,872 images, but found out that all the horses I double checked, no, triple checked, that I hadn't opened my dead horse folder by accident. But this was the regular one. No problem, I thought, and busted out one of my emergency external hard drives full of horse images. I tried each one to no avail. All of them were now not only dead, but skeletons. This was starting to concern me, but I shrugged it off as a glitch. At the police interrogation, they couldn't really figure out anything, as my phone exploded once I tried to read my friend's messages. So they let me go. I decided to go through my bedtime routine of trying to boot off the Binding of Isaac, Repentance, and play the character, Apollyon, which usually makes me fall asleep quite easily. But when I booted up the game, something was wrong. I picked up the item called Stigmata, and it made my character start crying blood. This was seriously freaky. The game was all messed up. All the enemies were bloody. One of the bosses was a deformed face. There were flies around things. This was simply too much. I did not sleep a single bit. I was about to call my mom to see if she could let me sleep with her, but no reply. I figured maybe she was already sleeping and burst into her room, opened the lights, and asked again. My mom was open in half like a twisted calzone, with her guts hanging out, and the legs on the other side of the room, and a message on the wall with blood saying, "You're next." The grammar bothered me, so I changed the "your" to "you are." I then began screaming and freaking out, which made me tired, so I went back to sleep. Waking up the day after, I was slightly concerned about what I saw yesterday, as my mom doesn't usually pull pranks. I decided to check up on my mom, and she was fine, but said she had to clean up a cat poop from her bed, so maybe it was just me. As I was brushing my teeth, I heard an evil sounding beep blank from the kitchen. I checked, only my mom was there, so I went back to brushing. I heard the laughing. This happened a few more times, so I asked my mom if she was the one making that laugh. She said yes, because I'm not your mother. She began making inhuman cackling noise. She used the sound disobeyed a few times, so I didn't pay much attention to this. Turned around, and suddenly my mom said in a really deep voice, "I hate her." I thought she meant the croissant that was on the fridge, so I shrugged it off. I was about to go back when a demon came out of her and said, "I don't get it. How are you not understanding? killed your mom. He took her body. Then he wrote your next on the wall. Because I am going to kill you next. I said, cool, thanks for clearing that up. And went upstairs to my room to finally look at the horse images again. However, the images were all gone and replaced with a single image of the demon. This crossed the line for me. I finally felt fear. I had to confront the demon. But how? As I was thinking, I found one of these cool water guns in my room and had an idea. I took one of the many half-empty water bottles from my room, the one that smelled the best, and placed the water inside the container. I was going to play Christian prayer videos next to it, to turn the water into holy water, to then fire at the demon. But every prayer I tried to look up played hardcore death metal instead. I decided to play the satanic chants backwards to see if maybe it makes them better. But then, that's when the second demon came out of my computer. I immediately tried to get him to kill the first demon, but it was like, son, I just haunt computers. And then he just went back inside my computer and started opening several videos of the Geiges music from Earthbound, played in reverse and G major. This was so scary that I simply grabbed my computer and threw it out of the window. Windows XP, more like Windows Explorer. However, when I turned around, my computer was back in place, glued to my desk. At least, I hoped it was glued. I decided to pull out another weapon that I keep for emergency purposes, my anti-right hand. I simply shot the fucker possessing my mother. I shot it so hard that she exploded into gore, and suddenly the FBI came in. I was arrested for shooting my mom, and also owning an anti-tank rifle. I asked the agent, but Mr. Agent, I said, there was a demon in her. I immediately said, I know. I went for him. Also, your mother has been dead for 20 years. I immediately shat myself so goddamn hard that they couldn't put me in the police car because the stench was overwhelming. So they just left. Was this true? Was this just a really elaborate and a really mean prank? I don't know. And I was bored. So I went upstairs to play video games again. I booted up a cool file that appeared on my desktop called Sonic.exe. I thought to myself, cool, I knew Sonic. He had a really rocky transition to 3D. Let's see if it's good. Sonic had a really rocky transition to 3D. I kept thinking about how Sonic had a really rocky transition to 3D while opening my game. The game that opened was Sonic 1 for roughly 289 milliseconds. And then it switched to Mario 64. Cool, I thought to myself, even though the game had a VSH filter over it for some reason. As I went to the file select screen, it played 1 second of TV static, not VHS static. And Mario came out of the pipe looking very sad and beat up. The game got interrupted by some text saying, J, for roughly half a second. Then Peach called him a thief and pirate, instead of her usual dialogue, and looked very angry. Then, as soon as I walked up to the castle, Lucky 2 said he was very disappointed in Mario for pirating the game, and simply pulled out a gun and shot him. He shot him several times, each time very realistic blood coming out of him. And then the game switched to a screen saying, pirating is bad. Don't pirate or Mario will kill you. But a Japanese voice reading it out, and the game over team playing. This extremely realistic anti-piracy screen that makes a lot of sense because old games could absolutely afford the cartridge space to put all this random shit in it that like 3 people would ever see really scared me, because there was a man speaking a foreign language in it, and it had a VHS filter on top. This was too much. This crossed every line. This was completely unbearable in every sense of the word. The agony, suffering, and fear that this game was making me experience was beyond any language. However, I was bored, so I kept going. I found a new level in the game called Motherfucker Hell Mountain of Satan. Satan, I thought. Isn't he that guy from the Binding of Isaac? Why would Mario be so dark? I hopped into the level, and the game again greeted me with some text. It said, I killed Jade. Which for context, Jade was my mother's name. I shrugged it off as a coincidence, since Luigi is in this game, after all, and he's Jade Card. I got to turn off the game off when suddenly my balls exploded and I died. The end.